If you can't stick to your schedule, you probably think the problem is discipline. It's not, it's stress. As a learning and performance coach, I see students who have tried everything: monthly calendars, apps, time blocking. They sit in my office and they tell me they've built the perfect schedule, and they still can't stick to it. Why? Because when a task feels stressful, your brain actually tries to protect you by avoiding it. That avoidance feels good in the moment, but it creates a loop. Stress leads to procrastination, which creates more stress, and before long, your schedule starts to fail. You interpret that as personal failure, and the schedule itself feels unsafe. So you stop using it. Today, I'm going to show you how to bypass that stress response. We're going to stop fighting your brain and build a system that actually works for it. Time management is about calm, not perfection. Here's the reframe that changes everything. Time management is not primarily about productivity. It's not about turning yourself into a perfectly optimized machine. When you treat it that way, every schedule becomes a performance test, and when you fall short, the stress only increases. Time management is really about clear thinking and emotional regulation. When you plan your time intentionally, you reduce uncertainty. You give your brain fewer decisions to make and fewer threats to react to. That alone lowers stress. And once stress comes down, something interesting happens. The tasks that you used to avoid don't disappear, but they lose their emotional charge. They stop feeling like personal threats and start feeling like solvable problems. That shift matters. Your schedule isn't supposed to be flawless. It's a learning tool. And when something takes longer than expected, that's not failure, that's information. You're learning how your energy works, how long things actually take, and what deserves your best attention. When your schedule becomes a guide instead of a stern taskmaster, everything changes. The system starts with your task list. Your task list isn't just a place to dump to-dos, it's how you protect your mental energy. Most people could only hold 4 or 5 chunks of information in their head at once. When you exceed that limit, it feels stressful. Mental fatigue sets in, and you are likely to forget everything you're trying to remember in the first place. So stop forcing your brain to store everything. Dump the details into a task list and free your mind to think, plan, and problem solve. Don't make your mental CEO work in the mailroom. Put your brain back in the boardroom. Your task list should be easy to access on both your phone and computer. The goal is simple. When something pops up into your head, you capture it quickly and you move on. Next, you clarify. Big tasks feel overwhelming because they're vague. So ask one question. What is the next step? Not the complete overview of the whole project. You don't want to overwhelm yourself. Just identify the next actionable step. And if you don't know the next step, then the next step is finding someone who could help you figure it out. When tasks become clear, they become less intimidating. Progress comes from design, not willpower. Now, build your weekly schedule. Start by blocking out things that happen every week: classes, work, and other non-negotiables. These are the anchors of your week. Everything else fits around them. Before you start filling in tasks, you need to build in wellness, because stress is the enemy of time management. This is where the big 4 come in: sleep, exercise, food, and human connection. Sleep regulates stress hormones, restores attention, and improves emotional regulation and decision making. Aim for 7 to 9 hours. Exercise is daily movement that clears the mental clutter. Food is real fuel that stabilizes energy and focus, and human connection reduces stress at the biological level. Loneliness is a silent stress multiplier. It is easy to underestimate the big 4 because they sound basic, but this isn't just wellness, it's brain health. Sleep is usually the first thing that we sacrifice, and once that happens, the downward spiral starts. These aren't extras, they're your baseline. Skip them to grind harder and you will eventually crash. Protect them and suddenly your work feels more manageable. Use your schedule to manage your tasks. Here's a common trap to avoid. Many people block off their big commitments and leave everything else to chance. But humans don't procrastinate by doing nothing. We procrastinate by doing easy things. So you stay busy all day, but the important work never gets touched. This is where your task list and your schedule come together. You look at your task list, decide what actually matters, and place those tasks directly into your weekly schedule. Now your schedule is managing your to-do list, not the other way around. I do this in two ways. When I'm under heavy deadlines, I plan my entire week in advance. Every hour is accounted for. A calm version of me makes the plan, and the stressed out version of me simply follows it. When things are lighter, which is most of the time, I use a flexible approach. I block time for work, but I assign tasks day by day. Each morning, I write down what I need to do from memory. This is my way of checking in with my nervous system. The things that pop up are usually things that I am worried about. And here is a key truth. The only way to reduce stress is to take action on what's causing it. So after that brain dump, I return to my to-do list and identify my top priorities. I combine everything into a new list that I call my execute list. These are the tasks that I am committed to finishing today. Keep your time blocks small. Once my priorities are clear, I place them into 1-hour blocks. This protects against Parkinson's law, the idea that work expands to fill the time you give it. Large blocks invite overthinking. You'll reread your instructions, you'll tweak details, you'll check email, and you'll just second guess your decisions. It doesn't feel like procrastination, but it drains time and energy. 1-hour blocks change that. The work feels doable, progress happens, tasks get finished. So what do you do when you don't finish a task? This part is critical. When you don't finish a task, people usually put it back on their to-do list. That feels reasonable, but it's a setup for stress. The task will sit there until it becomes urgent, and it usually catches on fire, and you have to do it when it's both inconvenient and stressful. That's not a motivation problem, it's a planning problem. If a task makes it onto your weekly schedule, that means it matters. It is high priority. So if it doesn't get done, don't send it back to the to-do list. Move it to another spot in the same week. Your schedule isn't a rigid contract. It's a plan, and plans change. What matters is that your priorities stay visible. This allows you to think clearly and strategize in real time. Protect your time. There's one thing that can derail all of this: other people. If you don't protect your time, someone else will decide how it gets used. Treat your scheduled work blocks like real appointments. For my college students, I literally have them block 20 to 30 hours outside of class. For professionals, you can't just block your entire schedule. So what you have to do is you have to watch your schedule fill up and make sure you block enough time to actually do your work. For example, I know it takes me an hour a day to do my email, so I make sure I block an hour a day. I'm typically aiming for 2 to 3 hours a day outside of my meetings. So as your week fills up, block remaining time intentionally. Build in transitions. Schedule prep time. Reserve space for email. Early in my career, I said yes to everything. I wanted to be that team player, but it led to burnout. Now I protect my time. And you know what? No one minded. And in fact, my work improved. So here's the real secret to sticking to your schedule. It's not about discipline. It's not about motivation. And it's definitely not about finding perfect execution and being that robot that just gets everything done. It's using time management as a tool for calm, clear thinking. When your stress goes down, your clarity goes up. And when clarity improves, action gets easier and progress becomes steady instead of exhausting. You don't need to overhaul your entire life. You don't need to become a different person. You just need a system that respects how your brain actually works. You plan, you prioritize, you build clarity, you calm your nerves, and you protect your time. That's how you stop fighting your schedule, and that's how you finally start sticking to it. I'm Dr. Eric Albinson. If this was helpful, let me know in the comments. And if you want more calm, brain-based strategies like this, consider subscribing. You got this.